Hi, welcome to Blunt Talk, everybody. I am your host, Aaron.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're going to do an episode. We have mentioned this episode a few times in the past, mainly on the holiday episode where we kind of skipped over the food because we wanted to do a food episode. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I figured we'd start off with, what's your first cooking experience? Like, what's the first thing you ever learned to cook for yourself?
Well, I started off with the easy shit. Like, parents taught us ramen noodles, eggs, box mac and cheese, all that stuff just to get us through the day. Pretty soon after that, my dad was a breakfast guy, so it was I was the only one that ate breakfast, so biscuits and gravy, sausage, bacon, all the good shit.
Did you make your own gravy, or did you?
Oh yeah, yeah. Like he taught me packet gravy first, and then taught me how to do it from scratch. He taught me white, and then my mom taught me brown because she likes brown gravy. He's a white gravy guy. Learned that, and then chili. Chili was big in our household. So once they taught me how to make chili, like I kind of made it my own, and no one else in my family makes chili now.
I mean, I'm pretty similar. Where like the first things I learned to do was breakfast. So. Making toast is like probably the first thing that I was like assigned to do.
Actually, thinking about it, I think the very first thing I learned to make was cinnamon toast.
Yeah. And then I've always liked just cheese toast. And apparently this is a weird thing because Laura's never heard of it or seen it, where it's just a slice of cheese on some bread and toast.
That's Laura.
That's true. But
she grew up poor, but she wasn't a hood rat.
That's fair. Well, speaking of that, so we were talking earlier. Apparently, you can't flip a pancake, and pancakes have always been like my.
I can't cook a pancake for shit, dude. It's gonna be burnt on the outside and raw in the middle. I just can't get the temp right.
Well, that has always been my specialty. Where my mom and grandma would always like con me into making breakfast because they wanted my pancakes, and all I did was mix the water in the pre-mix that you get in the box, and just, I don't know, maybe I used a lot of butter or something.
I don't know. I think my thing was that was probably one of my least favorite breakfasts to have was pancakes. Like,
you prefer French toast?
No, I just prefer meat and like breakfast meats and potatoes.
That's fair. I do like home fries. They're so good.
I love some loaded hash browns.
Yeah, that's fair. And then obviously early on cooking, you learn that like seasoning is where a lot of the magic happens. You can completely change a dish just by slightly altering the seasoning. And at work the other day, because I work at U.S. Pizza, and I was doing what we usually do and making my own little pizza up for me. And apparently the amount of onions that I put into it was wild for some people. But
yeah, we eat a lot of onions on stuff.
Yeah, I like cooking with onions. It's just
flavor.
Yeah, that's where the flavor is. But you were talking about your mom and your dad taught you to cook. A lot of my cooking was just being taken care of by my grandma for a lot of times. So I was just in the kitchen with her, and like her main job was she was like the cook for the church, and she was one of the first members of the church, And so I'd be down there with her just roaming around this pretty decent-sized kitchen, and that's where a lot of my learning to cook is just church food. Big old huge batches of mashed potatoes and gravy, of course. But I was also in Boy Scouts, and so I got a cooking merit badge. So is that official training?
Well, look at you.
Does that count as official chef training?
I mean, no, but that's a different skill that a lot of people don't have because, I was in like Cub Scouts. I didn't make it past that, but my family was hunters. We all grew up hunting in the woods all the time, so like I learned camp cooking, how to cook out in the woods and shit, and that's a whole different set of skills that a lot of people don't have. And man, that's some of the best food you can eat though. Like I know you can make like a lot of Dutch oven meals.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's
some of the best desserts.
Yeah, and that's one of our specialties was a peach cobbler in the Dutch oven. It's so good.
Some of that fresh scoop of some cold ice cream on top.
Mm-hmm. We did like a lot of. It's not really that different from just cooking in a kitchen if you do it right. I mean, obviously you got to know what you're doing and getting the fire just right, and that's really where the outdoor skills comes from, is just getting that fire right.
Temperature control.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of it was Dutch ovens or like foil packs.
Oh, yeah, like-
just throwing some vegetables and some chicken in a foil pack, seasoning it up, throwing that straight on the fire.
We had a tradition at deer camp where once a year, one of the guys down there would go to a slaughterhouse and buy a cow to stock up his freezer, and he'd get these Flintstone steaks, man. They're just massive, and he'd get one for each of us that were close in the camp. And so we'd grill those because we had this grate that was built over the fire pit that we built that we'd swivel over it to grill, and we'd grill the steaks on it. But probably 4 hours before then, we would take potatoes and onions and, oil them, butter them, season them up, wrap them in foil, and we'd bury them in the coals of the fire and just leave them sitting there, cowboy cook them.
Yep.
Delicious meal.
It's some of the best way to cook some, just any kind of food. Because, I mean, when you bring that up to people, a lot of people just see when I was cooking on a fire, or they just think of like you stuck a stick through a rabbit and threw it over the fire and rotated it a couple times. Which, I mean, it is also a good way to...
That's some good food, too.
But that's usually not what I'm talking about.
Honestly, most of my cooking that was like that, it was... We had a grill that we gutted, no propane grill, and I would just shovel coals from the fire into that and use it like a grill and cook.
I mean, yeah, that's one way to do it. I mean, really what we did is when we were trying to find our campsite, one of the main things we look for is just a good flat rock.
Oh, yeah. Good cutting board, wash it. Yeah.
And, so one of the things I kind of wanted to talk about beyond that, like early cooking and everything, obviously learning to just cook off the box is one way to hone your cooking skills. Just
master that, and then see what you can add to it.
Yeah. But, so I was going to say, like, there's two questions here really, is like, what is your favorite food to eat? Just like basic food thing, like mine would mac and cheese is one of the things I always look for.
You do.
But and also like, what's your favorite thing to cook, and does it necessarily line up?
No, it does not line up. My favorite thing, I'll start with the second question. My favorite thing to cook is, I already brought it up, the chili. I cook chili for my family, and it's a thing of everyone for the most part in my family are really good cooks. And all of them have married people that are really good cooks. And all of them to this day still, like, I have stomach issues. I can't eat chili. I haven't been able to eat chili in like 8 years. Mm-hmm. I don't make chili for me, and I don't even get to taste it while I'm cooking now. And all of them to this day still won't eat chili if I don't make it. Like that, it's a pride thing. But my favorite food, I also don't eat anymore because of my stomach. But man, a good brisket.
Oh, yeah.
Good brisket with some baked beans and some fried okra, just fire.
Well, this is like one of the things, some of the first places that I've tried food, like, for example, because I said I was in the Boy Scouts, and a lot of the big camporees where you have like 20 or 30 different troops from different locales have this big camporee, and at least once and one night of that, 2 or 3 days, sometimes a week, so it'd be a couple of nights, everyone would just come together and do like a Cracker Barrel thing where we just set up a couple of big tables.
Oh, like a
and
big
each troop
potluck.
would bring just, like a couple of different dishes and throw them out there, and then everyone would just stand around and eat and chat.
There's like this stigma around them. People will talk shit about potlucks, but I love potlucks. They're so good.
I think it's a lot of people just started, you'd get like a certain trend of like people making chili, and so you'd throw together a potluck and everyone would bring chili, and now it's just kind of like...
Nah, see, we plan our potlucks, man. We get together and we're like, oh, well, I'm making this. All right, well, I'm making this.
I mean, that's the proper way to do it, but if you just say, everyone bring a dish, it's going to be like
it's either that or we've done it together so many times that, like, we know who makes the best of each thing.
We already know you making the stuffing, like, you got to bring the... Yeah.
Well, my favorite way is how we do it, where we just get together, buy everything together, and then just cook it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I always look for the mac and cheese, and once, if it's like going to be a regular thing, once I find the person that makes the best mac and cheese, they best not make anything else. Like, don't branch out and think you're gonna have the sweet potatoes. Like, you're the mac and cheese person. You better make.
Like, I'm fine with you making something else, but like
You better
you're
focus on the
also
mac
making
and-
that
yeah.
mac and cheese. Like, yeah, I get it.
But when we sat down earlier to talk about this episode, I made the joke of we're gonna talk about the 4 food groups: Mexican, Italian, Chinese, and burgers and fries. That's not the actual 4 food groups that we're gonna discuss, but I wanted to mention that it was like as far as restaurants, or you wouldn't go to like 3 Italian restaurants in a row unless you really just like Italian food.
No, like I'll go to 3 Mexican restaurants in a row, and honestly, that's kind of weird because I talk shit on Mexican restaurants because my mom's half Mexican and I eat real shit with her family. But
Yeah.
like, no, I just love that food. So yeah,
That's why I go to that taco truck over there. It's some authentic Mexican people making authentic Mexican
I'll hit
food.
that. I'll hit Cactus Jack's for certain foods. Like I'm a queso guy, and I know it's not real
Yeah.
Mexican, but I'm a queso fiend. So
I mean, yeah.
I got to get it like 3 times a week.
Any kind of cheese dip, I'm probably going to like it, Which that kind of does. Me and Kyle were making the cheese dip at US Pizza the other day.
Yeah.
And we were talking about like how we would change it up. And speaking of that, we did something that we hadn't really done before, making a pizza and taking the ingredients from the cheese dip and using those as the peppers and toppings on the pizza.
I mean, we've used the cheese dip as base whenever I worked there with you.
No, but it was like
But
before
that's
we even.
That's a great idea, though.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was.
Did you sweat them first?
No, it was a really hot pizza.
All right.
The pizza made me sweat after. But that's a little aside. What I was gonna say is
Get back on point.
yeah. As far as that kind of food, like foreign food, what's your obviously we're gonna say Mexican. We both like Mexican.
Besides Mexican,
Yeah.
man, everyone loves Italian. I'm not a fan. I love pizza and I love lasagna, but other than that, I'm not a sauce guy in most anything, and everything Italian is just pasta and sauce, and those are 2 things I'm not a big fan of. So I'm usually good. Give me a great lasagna, and I'll eat it once a week. But
I had vegetable lasagna the other day. It was pretty good.
you know me, I'll try it, but I'm like, give me the meat one.
Yeah.
I like Chinese. Chinese is dope. There's several things I like. So
Those are the pho. I guess it's Vietnamese. I don't really care for the pho, but I do like their rice.
yeah.
It's very much like the Chinese, like chicken fried rice, or.
Ooh, yeah, see, I love fried rice.
But I get the 3 meat blend where it's chicken, beef, and pork.
Oh yeah, the house specials.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Got to. I do that, or I just get plain fried rice.
See, I used to not-
and get General Tso's chicken and just mix it all.
I used to not care for Chinese food much when I was a kid. And so, like, I just grown up just constantly getting the chicken fried rice. So I'm really judgmental on a place about their chicken fried rice.
So we went out to eat as a family twice a week. We went on payday, my dad's payday, so Monday night. We went out to eat, and it was 99% of the time Chinese buffet because that was cheaper. And then Saturday or Sunday morning, we'd get up and go eat breakfast. But yeah, we had Chinese once a week because of that. So I love it. And it was a special occasion to get like Egg Roll Express or something like that. And now that I work and buy my own food, like I've learned what good Chinese is, and I love it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we can kind of mention that we've mentioned before, like certain local places. And we mentioned, like Mark's Donuts. I want to bring them up again. And but what is the place right next to the tobacco store, or where the tobacco store used to be?
Oh, the taco shop, Guadalajara.
Yeah, I always want to shout them out because
Oh man, that was the best tacos growing up. Like go down there and get a like 4 steak tacos with onion and cilantro and squeeze some lime on it. Fire.
And their chicken bean burritos, like about the size of my bicep.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, it was like that was the thing. Walk down there, get some tacos or burrito, and then hit the gas station across the street and get a Jungle Juice.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good meal. That's a good meal. And we also mentioned how this conversation always deteriorates into cereal. So we'll get back to that here in a little bit.
Yeah, every time we talk food, the conversation always ends with us just shouting names of the best cereals at each other.
But I guess so. Before we get to that, we'll
Talk the
discuss,
real 4 food groups.
Yeah, this is our main discussion today. Is the actual 4 food groups? Obviously,
So the idea here is that there's only 4 types of food when you boil it down, and any kind of food you can boil down into one of these 4 groups. It's either going to be a soup, a salad, a sandwich, or a cake.
yeah. And so, for example, we mentioned cereal. Cereal is a soup.
Yeah, it's your milk is your broth, and your chunks of whatever you're eating for cereal is
Just the ingredients.
Yeah, your ingredients. That's really
I
all
guess you wouldn't call
soup
it toppings,
is.
but yeah.
That's really all soup is: broth and ingredients.
Yeah. And so, like, a salad would be that, but without the broth. So, anytime you just throw a bunch of stuff in a bowl together.
Toss it together. That's a salad.
Yeah. And so, we kind of mentioned, like, lasagna and spaghetti. So, we'll just stick to the Italian foods for a
Yeah,
second.
macaroni. That's a salad.
Yeah. Or spaghetti, that's a salad because it's just kind of thrown in there together. A lasagna,
A lasagna is a cake.
it's a cake. And it's got
It's
layers.
all the layers.
And so this is where the real meat of the conversation, no pun intended, happens, is between the sandwich and the cake, because that's where the real difference, the details matter.
There's a lot of foods that you can argue both ways, such as a pizza. You can argue it that it's a cake. You could argue it that it's a sandwich. But at the end of the day, a pizza's a sandwich.
Yeah, it's an open face sandwich. And so my argument would be between whether with a pizza, they call it a pizza pie because it is basically just made like a pie, just without the topping.
And a pie is a form of cake.
I would say a pie is a sandwich if it has the top layer of crust, but if it doesn't,
Then it's cake. That makes sense. I'm with it. So see, there's some foods that it can go both ways, but most of them boil down to one solid category.
Yeah. So obviously your sandwiches, your burgers,
Hot dogs.
hot dogs a sandwich, a taco is a sandwich, anything like that. And then your cakes are things like you said, lasagnas is a cake, any kind of pie is a cake, and it just depends on the layers. If there's a top layer, it's a sandwich. So some cakes are actually sandwiches.
That's true.
Yeah. And so, like, I guess a moon pie is an actual pie. It's a sandwich.
Moon pie is not a cake; it's a sandwich.
Yeah. And so,
Like half the Little Debbie's are just sandwiches, man. Oatmeal cream pies, fudge rounds, those are sandwiches.
so about cookies.
A cookie's a cake.
It's a sandwich cookie is a sandwich.
Yeah, like they can.
And the rest of them
some
are
of them can
cakes.
go into 2 categories, but for the most part, a cookie is a cake.
And so, yeah, we could go on all day with this. And so let's get back to the Thanksgiving dinner.
All right.
We just got a table full of soups and salads and cakes and sandwiches. I feel like not that many sandwiches, really.
No, not at Thanksgiving. Those come with all the leftovers after.
That's true. And so I guess like your candied yams, that's a salad. Depending on how candied they are, sometimes it deteriorates into a soup.
Yeah, if it's just straight up candied
It's a
yams,
potato
most people
soup.
do sweet potato pie, which make it a cake.
Yeah. So it just depends on what you're doing.
Yeah, it depends on your format.
Well, that is the format, is the 4 food groups. So what, just like a bowl of ice cream, at first it's a salad, then it becomes a soup.
Yeah,
The
depends on
longer
how
you
fast
wait
you
to
eat it.
Yeah. So, like, yeah, we did want to invite anyone listening. You want to comment a food, and we'll try to get back to you what group it fits into, or
So-
just start this conversation in the comments.
We just wanted to bring this topic up really in this episode because we're going to do a whole episode just straight on this topic later where we bring in
Just a list of
comments
foods.
and we'll probably have 1 or 2 homies come in and do that episode with us as guests. But yeah, we'll expand on that later, but we want y'all's input. And if y'all have any questions on, hey, what's this? And just throw out foods for us. We'll do a whole segment where we just read off y'all's food and tell you what it is.
And so the before we get too far into the cereals and everything, what's your favorite cookout food? Do you prefer like burgers and hot dogs, or you
Nah, that's
prefer,
basic, man. Like that's an all the time thing. So I prefer doing like when we're doing cookouts, I usually grill 3 things that I just volunteer up that I'll get these. And I'll do some pork chops, I'll do some wings, and I'll do some bacon wrapped asparagus. Those are my go-tos to add to a cookout.
Is the bacon wrapped asparagus a sandwich?
Oh man. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you're still
the
doing
bacon's
sandwiches?
the bread or the outer layer, and then the asparagus is your stuffing, your ingredients in the middle.
So I feel like the reason I brought that up is because I feel like cookout food does stick with the natural lunch of sandwiches. Because you got burgers and hot dogs.
Everything's
those are your
good
staple.
everything you cook is good as a sandwich.
I mean, that is true.
Like even the wings,
Unless
just
it's a
debone them.
Unless it's a soup. Because that's true, because a cake, you can always break down and do a sandwich with it. A salad, you can always just shove it between 2 pieces of bread and make it a sandwich. That's really hard to do with a soup.
Oh man, yeah, but I ain't gonna lie, man. You get a roll, throw whatever kind of meat it is, and then get that soup of baked
just make it a
beans
dip,
and
it's
throw
like
that
an
on there.
au jus.
Baked beans is some good soup. That's good on a sandwich.
That is true. I guess coleslaw is a soup, and people like.
Yeah, but that's not good on anything. That's good.
People
in
like
garbage.
to put it on the barbecue sandwich, and
Old people.
if you put it very lightly, it does add a little interesting crunch, but doesn't really add or take away any flavor to
Just
it.
throw a raw onion and like if you want the creaminess, just a little bit of mayo. There you go. That's even better than than coleslaw.
I'll probably put like honey mustard instead. That sounds kind of good.
Do you?
All right, so you got anything else to say before we start discussing cereals? Because, I mean, there's one thing I was going to say we haven't mentioned that is a food-related subject, and that's the fair.
Oh, fair food is fire. It's yeah. It's terrible for you. Like,
I mean,
that's why you only eat it once a year.
that's true. It's only terrible because once you're there, like, you want all of it.
Because you only eat once a year, so you want everything. Like,
Yeah.
my dad had an uncle that would always anytime we did things like the fair, Big Buck Classic, or anything like that, it was the extended family met up and it was
Riverfest.
huge. And my dad's uncle would always get me, and like me and him would dip while everyone else was doing the rides I didn't like because I was afraid of heights. And he was like, "We're corn dog guys. We're gonna go get jumbo corn dogs." And that was a staple. And then we'd go get a funnel cake, and like me and him would just go be fat asses at the fair.
I mean,
We didn't do turkey legs because one of the first guy that started selling turkey legs here in Arkansas at the fair, his name was David. His brother Kenny was my Aunt Mary's husband, and so we knew David real well, and like he just did turkey legs for us all, like fried turkeys, and gave us legs all the time anyway. So didn't need to go spend $10, $12 on a turkey leg back in the day.
oh, man,
just got
it
'em.
was worth it, though.
Oh, they were, but I got them for free.
That is better. Food does taste better when you get it for free.
He's also the first person that like gave me duck because he come down to deer camp with us and he cowboy cooked a duck for us all day for like 12 or 14 hours or something in the fire pit. Oh man, it was good.
Man, I've only ever had duck like one time. That's what I was saying about like the Boy Scout Cracker Barrel potluck things we did. That's like one of the first times I ever had rabbit and squirrel.
Yeah.
Some of those kinds of things.
So I tried a lot of like some things, not a whole lot really at deer camp, but we always got invited. There was this church here in Arkansas that always did a game feast every year, and like several hunters from different clubs were invited to it.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like because my uncle was our dad's uncle was one of the founding members of our deer camp way back in the day. He always got an invite, and then my dad started getting invited, and like I started getting invited. So the game feast every year we'd go to that, and like I tried bear, rattlesnake, raccoon, like rabbit, duck, just you name it. I've tried it from there, and there's a lot of it that is really good. Bear tastes like gamier sausage, but it feels like you're chewing rubber, and it is just awful. Raccoon tastes terrible. It's bitter unless it's cooked very slow and barbecued. I've had it like maybe 4 different ways, and that was delicious, but every other way was terrible.
That's interesting.
And snake tastes delicious, and it's also like eating rubber, so just don't.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, a lot of people say, it's the classic line from The Lion King, tastes just like chicken, and they try to say that about everything.
There's one thing that I will say that about squirrel.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, squirrel and rabbit kind of do, but you get them gamier.
Yeah, it's gamier.
And rabbit's oilier. I feel like, or greasier.
Yeah.
I feel like
rabbit to me doesn't taste like chicken, but the squirrel to chicken comparison I would make would be just straight gamey flavor. It's a gamey chicken because it tastes the same to me as making a ham from a hog that I've killed out in the woods compared to going to the store and buying a ham and making it.
I get that.
There's a different taste there, and that's the taste that I get in a squirrel as compared to chicken. Other than that, it tastes like a chicken leg, man.
Yeah. Well, they always say that about, like, frog legs or just frog
does not taste. A frog tastes like a combination of chicken and fish, and it is. Yeah. Frog legs are delicious.
I feel that about snake. Basically, is it's just a really tough, fishy ass.
It's just so tough though. Frog legs are tender.
Yeah.
I highly recommend frog legs. Not snake though.
And I would say, like, my mom used to work at this place called Gunnabo, and that's the only thing I know about it. I don't even know what she did there. I was pretty young. I was like 5 or 6, and I remember they had some big, like, work picnic thing that they did.
Yeah.
And we went there, and that guy literally dug a pit in the front of his business out in Lone Oak. And it's just, like, on the side of the highway. And it's just under this. He just dug a pit and cooked a hog, like a big old, huge hog.
And people wanted it.
And we were all like, yeah.
Yep.
And that was basically the main part about that event is I just watched this hog cook. And then, like, while it was cooking, I was just like, I want that piece. Just because I'm like 6, I'm like,
oh, dude. And anytime you're in a thing
he gave
like
me that piece. It was good.
See, I grew up with family doing that. Some old rednecks, bro. I guarantee you, any little kid just come up and ask the big burly dude that's doing all that looks mean. Little kid come up, hey, I want this piece right here. Oh, this one? He's going to make sure you get exactly what you want. And honestly, there's a 50-50 shot. He's going to offer to pick you up and tell you how to hold the knife and let you cut it off.
Well, he ain't let me do all that, but he did give me that piece.
He wasn't me. I'm handing my nephew the knife.
But like that's I feel like that's one of my favorite kind of meals is just some, you get to watch it get killed, skinned, like the whole deal. Like, obviously I didn't get to watch him kill it or, gut it or any of that, but I watched him open the back of his truck and pull this big ass thing out.
Just some old country cooking.
Yeah, and it was good. He also did the classic, like, apple in the mouth thing. Does that actually add anything?
It adds flavor while it's cooking. It's the same concept.
I can see that adding a little bit, but that's a big-ass hog and not that big of
one
an apple.
apple in the mouth does not do anything for that. Okay. How that came about is, like, they'd actually, like, put apples inside as well. Then that one was the one to show. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
but
maybe
apples would be stuffed in it when it was cooked for the taste. He probably just did it because it's just a tradition for that now.
Yeah, like, I don't know if he shoved them inside or not, but I'm sure he did. It tasted delicious.
I like to smoke like a pork tenderloin, and when I do that, I like to take a can of peaches and pour it over it, like when it's almost through, like about 3/4 of the way through, and let it finish smoking with that peach on it, and it gives it a little bit of peach flavor throughout it while you're eating it.
All right, so for the holidays, turkey or ham?
We do both. On Christmas and Thanksgiving, we go all out with both, or we used to. We don't so much anymore. Now we do random shit.
We usually do turkey on Thanksgiving, ham on Christmas. A classic, I guess.
I'm not a turkey guy. I'm not that big on turkey. I love ham, but I like ham year round. We used to do. We used to get ham like every couple months. My mom would get a big ham and do a big country ham.
I know we did Cornish hens one year, and that was pretty good.
I've never had Cornish hen. That's some rich people shit.
Is there some rich people shit? Because I wasn't aware.
I didn't. I mean, I don't. That's what I always assumed. It seemed fancy, so we just assumed it was. It might not be.
No, I don't think it is. Because
But it didn't look like near enough food either. It's like I see that and I'm like, I bet I could smash a dozen.
I feel that. Well, I mean, you're also getting all the other stuff for the Christmas or Thanksgiving dinner. Because, I mean, I've always wanted to do a goose. Just because I don't think I've ever had goose before. But it sounds so nice.
Yeah,
it's always
that sounds cool. I'd be down. Like I don't know how to do it, but I'd be down.
Try to get a goose this year.
Let's get a goose.
All right.
Let's go back. Let's just do a big feast where we bring back the old school dinners. Let's do a goose. We'll do a big roast beef.
The roast beast.
And then man, I've tried it once and we messed it up, but let's do a prime rib. Like we tried to bake one how you're supposed to, and I guess the oven went out or something, but like it was not getting done, and we got tired of waiting. It was like 4 hours past the time it was supposed to be done, so we just sliced it and I lit the grill and I just finished them up like steaks. It was fire, but we should do a real prime rib.
I mean, that all sounds good. So we'll just try to start in the summer saving up.
For the most expensive feast we've ever done.
Yeah.
It's just going to be main dishes, those three and a Cornish game.
We'll just do Thanksgiving, and then we won't have to cook for Christmas because we'll just freeze a bunch of stuff from Thanksgiving. Just make way too much on Thanksgiving.
There we go.
Just make a big-ass junk stew for Christmas.
Yeah, just mix it all up.
Because apparently that was a real thing that my grandma had to deal with as a kid, is her mom, like they had so many kids because like my grandma's like the youngest of like 9 daughters.
Yeah.
And like 2 sons. They had a shit ton of kids. And what's funny is like apparently what they would do is like no matter what they had for dinner Sunday through Friday.
Oh, it got chopped up and made into like basically like a form of chili.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they would have that until it ran out, and then they would start over.
Yep, and it's not good. Like sometimes it's fire. Usually it's not good.
I mean, that's what I think I would just...
Because there's always one meal that just doesn't go with the rest, but it's in there anyway.
That's why I think I would just lobby all week for specific meals that I feel like would all together make a really good soup. And that'd be my like goal.
Man, we've had Italian every night this week, so you're damn right. Swear to God, you come in with Mexican.
Depends, because you can, that's why I always thought not to be hating on U.S. pizza, but then the Italian food festival, they entered a Mexican-style cheese dip, which I always found amusing. But
yeah, that was funny.
Yeah. What else did they put with the cheese dip? I think it was like
Didn't they do wings?
No, I think it was one of the sandwiches.
Oh, they did the Scooby.
Yeah. That's Italian, I suppose.
It's an Italian with veggies.
Yeah. And so, what's the best cereal?
The best cereal? I am a Fruity Pebbles guy. It's got to be name
Pebbles.
brand, too.
So, like, we've had that argument of Fruity Pebbles versus Fruit Loops.
Fuck Fruit Loops. It's all about Fruity Pebbles.
Can as a whole, but I feel like they're not. Everyone like compares them like they're aiming to be the same thing, and I feel like they're not.
No, like they're just, to me, they're good, but they're the worst of the fruit cereal, the fruity cereal. Like I'll take Fruity Pebbles, I'll take Trix. Ooh, over Trix actually. Oops, All Berries from Peanut Butter from Captain Crunch.
Captain Crunch.
All those are better than Fruit Loops in my opinion. I was just never a big fan of them. I liked the mascot more than the cereal.
What's in the Toucan Sam? Follow your nose. And what about when they added the marshmallows to it? Did that change?
I gave it a go thinking that was going to make it better, and it did not help. It made it took me out of it. When they started adding the Lucky Charm marshmallows to like multiple cereals, now the Fruity Pebble one, that one slapped with it. But
you're just full support for Fruity Pebbles.
I am, bro. It's so good.
It's just Rice Krispies with not as good Fruit Loop flavor to it.
It's better Fruit Loop flavor to me. It's stronger. See, Fruit Loops don't taste like Fruit Loops are kind of bland to me.
I don't know. I think you smoke too much.
I don't know. Fruit Loops just ain't it.
Well, I mean, because I always just saw that like you said, the fruit flavored cereals like Trix, it's got a very distinct flavor. of fruitiness, and so does Fruit Loops.
No,
so
they all
does
just
Fruity Pebbles. Like they all got a different kind of fruit flavor going on. Because they don't.
They are all good, but
because if I poured a bowl of each one of these, I let them sit for 5 minutes, and then strain them out and gave you the milk, you would be able to tell me exactly which
I can tell you which one's which. Yeah.
Without even comparing them, you would just, if I just gave you one, you'd be like,
I'm willing to bet you could do 20 bowls of cereal, and like I'm gonna get at least 18 out of 20 right.
Well, I mean, there's some of them that would be kind of hard to tell, like between like say Kix and Honeycomb.
Ooh.
Like they're very similar.
Oh man, you're gonna give me like Honey Nut Cheerios, Honeycomb Kix, and I'm gonna be like, what are you doing to me, bro? Like the only one I'm gonna get right is Smacks.
Smacks is good. I feel like when I was a kid, there was some cereals that I just assumed I wouldn't like and never really tried until I was older, and I was like, I should have been eating this for.
Bro, you know what I learned in life? I'm an old man. I like old man cereals, bro. You give me some Raisin Bran Crunch or like that Honey Bunches of Oats. Oh, they're so good.
Yeah. And then I feel like
I like frosted shredded wheat. I hate shredded wheat, but I like the frosted one. It's good.
Yeah. I like those commercials too.
Oh, they're funny.
And then like, what's the one with the Cinnamon Toast Crunch? The little cannibalistic pieces.
Oh
of
yeah,
cinnamon,
they just
like
eat each other.
But
or if you're talking commercials for cereal though, like Sonny from Cocoa Puffs, that was my dude as a kid.
I'm Cocoa. Yeah.
And I loved Cocoa Puffs as a kid. The older I got, like they changed. They don't.
I feel like they all changed because I always felt that way when I was young. I kind of liked the marshmallows in the various cereals, but like now they just taste bad.
Well, I think that's us getting older. What I'm talking about is like even when I was still a kid, like and like out of nowhere, I was just like, these just aren't as good. And every time I got them, I was like, they're just not as good. And like we found, honestly, Save-A-Lot's off-brand for Cocoa Puffs was way better.
I always, because like we was talking about being poor and everything. I always went for the Kroger brand because you get more because you can get a big ass bag full.
I feel that for me, it's on cereal, it's 50-50. Like
it depends on
some off brands are better than name brands, but there's certain cereals that like, and usually, unfortunately, the ones I like the best, the name brands just are so much better.
The Chipmates are better than the Cookie Crisps.
I agree. Cookie Crisps were another one that slapped when they first come out, and then just got mo. But they got mo in that era of all the other cookie cereals when like Oreo O's were out and all those.
Yeah.
Like that's when Cookie Crisp started going downhill because like everyone wanted better stuff.
Yeah.
Reese's Puffs always.
Cookie Crisp got by on the novelty of the idea of just shrinking down some chocolate chip cookies.
That's what kids wanted, man.
Yeah. And so it blew up, and then everyone realized, well, like, I could just make some chocolate chip cookies and break that up into a bowl, and it's going to be better than this. So, and then, like you said, all the other. And now they got, like, snack cake cereals.
I haven't tried any of them, but I've seen them.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, I don't know.
Like, I'm torn on it. Like, I don't want to try it because I'm like, you're just reaching, but I do want to try it because I said the same thing about Reese's Puffs when they first come out when we were kids.
Oh, man, Reese's Puffs.
And there's a reason they're still one of the top cereals out.
Yeah. I feel like people, and it's the same reason like Peanut Butter Crunch with Cap'n Crunch and peanut butter.
That's my number 2.
It doesn't necessarily seem like it would be good as a cereal, but when someone tried it, it was like, yeah, it's one of the best.
That was in my house, like, when there's 4 of us kids, so when we went and got cereal, all 4 of us got to pick a box, and my mom would always get 2 for me because she knew I'm gonna get Fruity Pebbles and my dad's gonna eat half that box. So me and him were gonna both eat it, and I'm gonna spend 30 minutes in the store holding that and Peanut Butter Crunch before I go with the Fruity Pebbles. So she just started buying them both. Just get rid of that.
Yeah. I mean, that's because me and my brother didn't necessarily ever agree. We would always and then we realized that a lot of our arguments is just between the two. And so because she would get us like one, we started agreeing on like 2, like I like this and you also kind of like this and you like, so we ended up getting 2 that we both liked.
Yeah.
And we realized two of the ones that we liked are also ones that Mom would like, so we would just con her into getting her some, and she would never eat cereal.
Yeah.
She would always buy herself a thing of cereal.
Yep.
So we just had a third box.
So we always had, no matter what we were getting, if it was sodas or cereal or anything that we picked out, it was always like, well, this isn't your box. Like, you're picking that out because that's the one you want.
But everyone's
some. Splitting all of them, you know.
See, that never works out because then someone.
Oh, there's always fights, but I was the oldest son, and I was the one that could throw hands. So
fair.
like when it come down to, we're all gonna get in trouble anyway when we
I would
fight
just
over it.
pick one that nobody else likes, but I like it. So.
See, that's my other go-to, and you know this because you lived with me. You remember me coming home with like strawberry shredded wheat and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna eat that.
Because you were just like, bro, ain't no one else eating that, and I was like, yeah. And every other cereal I buy, I come in and Jeremy ate it all. There you go.
Well, I mean, like, it's convenient because they're not necessarily, I guess they're closer to old women cereal instead of old man cereal, but like, because it's what my grandma and my mom have always liked is just the plainer cereals like Rice Krispies or Frosted Flakes or just regular Corn Flakes.
I don't mind those because we were on WIC and stuff like that most of my life, so we had a lot of that because that's what they offered us.
Yeah, exactly.
But growing up on that was the normal occasion, and then maybe like once a month or once every other month we got to go pick out cereals.
Lucky Charms or whatever.
Like I am now I'm good on that. I've had enough of that, and there's better.
This was like she started. It was always Cheerios, and then I guess by the time I got to high school, I done convinced her that like, sure you like Cheerios, but guess what's better? Honey Nut Cheerios.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It took a while to finally get her convinced of that.
We had a lot of, we didn't do Rice Krispies. We did Chex.
I like Chex.
I like Chex,
you remember
too.
Crispix? Do they even make that anymore?
I didn't like Crispix. It was all right, but it was not as good as Chex.
I always liked any of the cereal that like captured the milk inside them like that.
Honeycombs were the best for that because it was also sweet.
Yep. And so like those, but I would like what I was saying when I was little, like Pops and Honey Smacks, and like Apple Jacks. For some reason, I always just turned my nose up at those and never really tried them.
Man,
until like later in life, I was like, "Damn, these slap."
I tried Apple Jacks, and I wasn't a huge fan. And as I got older, it's because I realized like apples and cinnamon. While I do like them, they're very overrated flavors. I'm not a big fan of them, so I like them every now and then in certain things, and that's what that cereal's about. I'm not about it. Honey Smacks, I do think are overrated because like most of the people from our childhood, like they brag on how great those were, and they are very good. But I just liked the other ones better. The other cereals we had, like they were good. I never turned them down. But
my brother always liked Pops, like that was his shit, and they just
we ate a lot of Kicks, like.
I mean, I always like Berry Kicks is where it's at.
Oh,
like,
Berry. I remember
that's
when
still
those
one of my favorite
They were
cereals.
so good, dude.
Like just
to me, the most appealing thing about Kicks was like I was a little kid and Clifford was on the box.
Yeah, I feel that. So we can keep talking cereal, like I said, for forever. But one of the things, being poor and food, one thing that combination brings up is the ice cream truck. They always ride around the poor neighborhoods for us kids to run out.
What's crazy in our life is as children, we never really got ice cream from the ice cream truck very often at all. It was a super special occasion. When we were roommates living together and they come through the hood, we chased them down.
Yeah.
As adults, we hit up that ice cream truck constantly.
And so,
what's your go-to?
Ice cream sandwich.
Can't go wrong.
I always just like the ice cream sandwich.
It depends on my mood.
Sometimes I get the cookie one.
Yeah, I'll go between those, but every now and then I'll get, actually quite a bit, I'll get the strawberry shortcake crumble bar.
Sometimes I'll grab the fudge bar because those things are super good.
Yeah. Now, see, ice cream was something, like ice cream snacks were something we always had in our freezer. My dad loved ice cream, so we always got to have one of that big tub of cheap vanilla ice cream or fudge royale.
Fudge, oh man, that's where it's at right there.
We always had that, and we had
What was it? Jeremy always wanted to get the
He always
Superman.
got Superman, and then talk shit on us because we like cookies. All of us like cookies and cream. And he was like, "Y'all are childish. Let me eat my Superman ice cream." I'm like, "Are you fucking six? What the hell?"
I never cared for it that much. Like it's just one that every now and then I'll eat.
It's a sweeter vanilla, but not even a good sweeter. It ain't like a French vanilla sweeter. It's just odd because it's the food coloring in it. Like
it just makes you feel like you're eating something.
Yeah, just
else.
eat vanilla. Just eat vanilla. It's better. There's like 7 different options
I like
of vanilla, and they're
bean,
all
man.
better.
Vanilla bean.
You ain't being French vanilla. That's so good.
Yeah, that's fair. Man, like, what is the SpongeBob one that I always see people get?
I don't know.
I've never got it because it just feels weird.
I bought it once for my nephew. I bought the oldest one, a Batman one, and the youngest one, a SpongeBob one, because that's what they wanted.
But what are they?
I don't know. It did not look like the wrapper though. When you unwrap it, it looks like
it's like a
it looks
deformed
like
little scary
SpongeBob
monster.
was a character in John Carpenter's The Thing.
I want to see that crossover now. It's gonna be Gary.
It's Dirty Dan.
And so it's like one thing that we could bring up is, like what's your final meal if you was,
Oh man, Last Meal. I do want to go on that show, Last Meals. That'd be pretty dope.
yeah, that would be good.
We should do that. We should make our own Last Meals. I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
Yeah, that's one we could
How about when we do our part 2 and we talk food? Well, that'll be the other part of the episode. We discuss what our last meals would be.
yeah, that sounds good. And then we can make them for ourselves.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's how we end the night.
so we got 2 meals set up for the future. We're gonna have a goose.
We're gonna have the ultimate Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
And then our last meals.
And then our last meals. What are we planning for this year, man? That's crazy. So hopefully it's not our actual last meals.
But if so, we're gonna make them good,
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
just in case.
Fucking carrot cake, man.
Of
Who makes a
course.
cake out of a carrot, and why is it so fucking good?
Like, I don't know the thought of it, but man, that guy. I feel like he's the reason we have vegans today. Because
I mean-
like he took a carrot and made a cake, and they were like, "We can do that." Oh,
Carrot
Works
is
for
an
him.
underrated vegetable in my opinion, because it's the weird yellow or orange one that just doesn't fit in.
yeah.
It makes the dishes more colorful. So carrot for the win.
I like carrots when they're like.
You got to season them right. You cook them right.
Oh yeah, butter and brown sugar, bro.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
want them sweet. Like you basically want caramel with some carrots in it.
So anything you can do to a sweet potato, you can do to a carrot, and it's gonna be
better.
just as good.
It's better. I don't like sweet potatoes, so like, give me the carrots like that.
All right. So candied carrots. That sounds good. So you got anything else for the food episode today, man?
Not really. I guess we need to wrap this thing up.
All right. So thank you all for listening to Blunt Talk. And this is our food episode, if you forgot. And let us know in the comments what your favorite Thanksgiving dish is or what your final meal will be. And give us some ideas to tell you which food group it goes into.
Yeah, we'll discuss all y'all's comments when we do part 2, whether it be we'll discuss it in the last meals, we'll discuss definitely break down what food you want us to break down. Any arguments you may have against our 4 types of food, we'll dismantle for you.
Go on our Facebook page and follow us and like us. And we have the People's History of Horror podcast Facebook page and the Strange Creation Co. Facebook page. And surely we'll have the Blunt Talk one up soon, as well as our TikTok and Instagram and all that good stuff.
Go ahead and go like and subscribe on Facebook, we just covered Facebook, on YouTube as well. The Strange Creation, and we have People's History of Horror and Blunt Talk, but just go watch them, like the page, share. We'll have, I believe we're going to have a Patreon soon and some other things
And we
such
got
as that.
the Patreon up already. We just got the 1 tier.
We'll put the links up there for all that. Aaron, tell them a little bit about your blog.
Oh yeah, like usually I just do little book reviews and bits of other things that I think of, but I've recently started a philosophy series where I'll be digging into history and the humanities and the stuff that I'm interested in. as well as more book reviews and literary analysis of the books that we cover. And which next is the Stand by Stephen King. We'll be doing 3 episodes on that.
Yeah, we'll be breaking The Stand into 3 parts because it's such a meaty book and there's so much to cover. And not only are we going to break it into 3 different episodes, but we're going to break those apart with an off-topic episode between them. And the first one of which we'll be dropping The Stand Part 1 next, and then the next People's History of Horror, we're going to discuss horror for children and really what got us started on that. So we're going to do that. That way y'all can keep up with reading with us because there's a lot to take in. We want y'all to take y'all's time and enjoy this book thoroughly.
Yeah. And so we'll be sprinkling in some of that and some kind of review episode where we'll back up a little bit and take a look at some of the stuff we've already done versus what we're going to do. And that's pretty much all we got for today, though.
Yeah, that's all we really got. So till next time, keep it strange.
And signing off.